So the fire at Parliament flaring up again. Parliament's presiding officers have released a statement expressing their distress. They say they continue to be encouraged, though, by the resilience, courage and bravery of the firefighters. SABC News Parliamentary reporter Abra Barbier is there and joins me again. Abra, thank you. You were showing us visuals earlier, and then it all became even more dramatic with those flames in the windows. How big does this blaze look right now? What can you see?
Francis, yes, hello again. I was really hoping that when I came back to you later on, or for this crossing, that I would have good news for you. Unfortunately, as you can see, that's not the case. Earlier on, I was speaking to you from the balcony. We did not have a clear vantage point like we do right now. But I just want to show you, Pam, if you can just spin your camera around. Residents of Cape Town are all lining up down the streets of Ruland. They're in Ruland Street now, which is the main street you take to come into Parliament. So obviously, loads of people are coming out very upset, naturally, about what they are seeing. Lots of people with the cameras all just trying to document this, because of course it's a massive story. And just looking at the situation behind me, looking at the flames, looking at the plumes of smoke, it's not a pretty sight at all. I just want to read a statement from JP Smith of the City of Cape Town. I spoke with him earlier and he said to me, Abra, where there's wind, there's going to be trouble. Essentially, this all boils down to the wind having picked up. Yes, we did have a lull earlier on. Everything was under control, and then the wind started picking up. There were a few hot spots, which we did know about. Obviously, that with the wind, it does not make a good combination. He says that the void beneath the roof sheeting of the National Assembly is on fire. There are currently 6 firefighting appliances on scene, so I am assuming those are the trucks. There's a hydraulic platform. That's the platform you see in the shot, and then there are around 34 firefighters working tirelessly. Parliament also sent a statement to say that they are devastated because all the hard work that the firefighters managed to achieve over the last 2 days now, I think it's 2 days, the hard work, they say the 2-day brave and courageous battle by firefighters against the flames that gutted various buildings of Parliament suffered a setback when the flames suddenly flared up. But here to tell us more about the statement is Moloto Mothapo of Parliament. Moloto, thank you so much for speaking to us. This is not a good day. Obviously, everybody, staff, MPs, journalists, everybody, Cape Town is not happy. How's Parliament handling this at the moment?
It's a very distressing, devastating time for the rest of South Africa. And of course, I can think of the people of the Western Cape and Cape Town. And also I can imagine the feeling of journalists like yourself who have spent many years working here in Parliament. It cannot be easy to see such a prestigious institution, such a very historical building with a very rich heritage on the history of South Africa, but also occupying such a very crucial and important space in our constitutional democracy, going down in smoke like that. So the presiding officers are very distressed. They are devastated by what is happening. What is just happened now, the flare-up of this fire, it is a serious setback to the great efforts and the successes that brave and courageous, hard-working firefighters have put, the effort that they've put since yesterday. It's almost 2 days now of battling these flames, and they have not slept. They work throughout the night, they work throughout the day, and for this to happen now at a time when we had thought that we were almost having put everything out, it is quite devastating. So our hearts also goes out to them. We continue to be encouraged by the great efforts and sacrifice that they are putting through to put this fire to put the situation under control.
Moloto, you're quite correct. This is very emotional for many of us. I met you here at Parliament 13 years ago, and in fact I was telling my colleagues in Joburg earlier on, your office is right up there. Yeah. Tell me how that makes you feel. I mean, you've been here for ages, Moloto. Your office is right there. That's where you go and spend large portions of your time.
Well, yeah, that's but we don't want to put our personal emotions to the situation. Otherwise, no one will do the work. But of course, it's quite distressing. It's very sad. It's a very emotional time to actually witness with your own eyes the office that you have spent about 5 years here working here in Parliament, 5 years of the 15 years or 16 years that I've been here. It's not easy to see an institution of this nature going down like this, but you know, we are really grateful for the hardworking men and women that have been battling this fire since the last almost 2 days. If we want to think of our emotions, really, we have to think also first of the fact that they have not seen their families. They have worked throughout the night. They have been here. They are not complaining. They are subjected to huge smoke, as you will know. We earlier indicated that the issue of the high temperature trapped inside these buildings continue to be a risk factor, as well as the smoke. So we had a temperature of just over 100 degrees Celsius. So probably that is the cause of this flare-up. But we are waiting for the factual information from the firefighters with regard to what could have caused this sudden re-emergence of the fire. But very sad time for the rest of the country, but we want to assure South Africans that we are a resilient nation, we are resilient people who have gone through the most difficult times in the various phases of our history. And if there is one thing that we will do and we know how to do better is to rebuild and to be strong again.
Moloto, earlier on, the presiding officers gave us a rundown of what was not destroyed. That situation possibly has changed now. At this stage, I assume you don't have an update on what exactly. I'm just thinking of that tapestry. You can't tell us exactly what's been lost so far.
Well, fortunately, this fire is still far away from the tapestry that has been saved in the morning, during the course of the morning yesterday. But you are correct about some of the critical areas, whether they will be affected or not. We're just talking to the Secretary of the National Assembly now, asking him if whether we've been able to save the maize, and he said no, it is in the safe and it continues to be safe. However, with this re-emergence of the fire, we don't know what will happen. There is also an issue of we were comfortable, encouraged that the offices of the National Assembly Speaker and the National Assembly Deputy Speaker were saved. However, this fire now, as you will know, the offices of the presiding officers, this fire is directly on top of those offices. So we can no longer be sure that they will continue to be safe. So it's quite a very tricky situation.
Moloto, we know that somebody is appearing in court tomorrow. There's been a lot of speculation. The blame game is obviously heightened right now. Do you have a message from Parliament to members of the public and to political parties just about how we should be or how they should be, I don't want to say behaving, but just about the best way forward for everybody right now during this time?
Well, it is a collective loss for the nation. It's not a time to play political games. It's not a time for grandstanding. That's why the presiding officers have really appealed to the nation, to various formations, to Nehau in particular, to say that let's be responsible with our utterances out there. The people of South Africa are looking for us as the leaders that they have elected in Parliament for inspiration, for positive message during this time. It is very distressing. We need to look at a bigger picture. We need to look at the damage that is being caused and to combine our minds and our heads to say, how do we rebuild from here? How do we continue from here? How do we continue to serve the people of South Africa? Because really blame games, accusations, and all manner of suggestions are not going to help anyone.
Moloto, you talk about the firefighters who have been working tirelessly, but you're going to have to keep your phone on all night, I suppose, as well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
I'll speak to you later. Francis, there you have it. Moloto Mothapo, spokesperson to Parliament, who, as I mentioned earlier on, has been here. He said he's been here for about 15 years, first in another capacity, and for the last 5 years, he's been the Speaker of Parliament, a go-to person for all journalists. And as I also said, his offices are are affected. I mean, I can see his office from here, and his office is probably gutted. And looking at him, I can see he's exhausted as well. And while he was talking about exactly what is happening in the National Assembly, and he was speaking about trying to restore Parliament again, it's going to be an overwhelming task. If I saw still pictures of exactly how it looks inside. It's going to be an overwhelming task, and I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but Parliament has a huge task. Public Works as well has a huge task ahead in trying to restore the institution.
Yeah, as our earlier guest explained, I mean, even after the damage caused by the fire, you have further damage caused by the water used to douse the fire. And could you imagine being those firefighters who thought that everything was under control, and then those huge flames started raging again? Abra, just very quickly, please clarify for us, because you were speaking to Moloto about this, about the artworks, about that beautiful tapestry. We know that things of great historic and artistic value were being kept inside Parliament. So the tapestry has been removed, but what about the 4,000 artefacts? Is it correct to say we still don't know exactly if they have been moved, if they are in any danger?
That's correct. We don't have an update on that. Earlier on, we were told that lots of those things were managed to be saved. We don't know the situation at this point. I myself, being in Parliament, I have gone into the art room. I've gone into the library on a few occasions to do lighter stories from Parliament, because, you know, members of the public don't actually come here really they don't see this huge history that they have nestled here in the little library and in the art room. So I've done a couple of stories where we've gone in, and it's history right in front of you. Those are things that cannot be replaced. They are priceless. I actually want to go into our own archives and just try to find those visuals again, the tapestry especially, because the tapestry it's a sight to behold. I want to go into our archives when I have a moment and then just try to get those visuals on air so that the viewers can actually see what we are talking about. That tapestry, for instance, it tells the history of South Africa from the time of the Sand People through to democracy. It's like I say, it's not something that can be replaced. It's really sad to see what is happening, and just over and above the physical, the building, everything else that's been lost. It's going to be a real task to try and restore that. Francis?
All right, thank you very much, Abra. And for viewers, we showed you some of those visuals on the screen. Those were some of the artefacts kept at Parliament. Hopefully all safe. We know that that tapestry depicting the history of the Eastern Cape, done by women from the Eastern Cape, was saved. And that is a real treasure, hundreds of meters long. Thank you very much, Abra Barbier. We'll keep you updated.